Hey everyone! Welcome to the final installment of my Guilds of Ravnica Set review. It's been a lot of fun. I'm so pumped for this set. Oh, I can't wait till the pre-release. Yeah! But for this final episode, we will be going over the objectively best guild on their multicolor cards, the Selesnya. Fight me if you think otherwise. I mean it. But, yeah, so today we're talking about the Selesnya and then the lands, because there's an odd number of guilds and I can't pair it up, and pairing Selesnya with lands, that makes sense, because they're like nature and trees and things like that. And you know what trees grow on? Land. But, yeah. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, I recommend going back and watching the first one of where we talk about white and blue, at least the beginning of that, because then I explain kind of how I analyze all of that stuff, which I'm primarily looking at from a limited perspective, mostly draft. But jumping right into this, we have Camaraderie, which is 4 green and a white for sorcery. You gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures you control. Creatures you control get +1 till end of turn. Honestly, this is all things Celestia wants to be doing. Like, even if you have like 3 creatures out, I'm more than happy with this. If I have 2 creatures out, meh. But if like any sort of Celestia situation where like I actually have like a lot of I actually have the proper amount of token generators and all that, and just being able to like refill my hand, which is really where you want to be in kind of like these like aggro creature decks, because Selesnya, you have like lots of small creatures and you're going to be laying out your hand and like casting multiple spells your turn with Convoke and stuff, and like, oh no, I have an empty hand and all these creatures. I cast Camaraderie and now my hand is full and I have lots of life and all the creatures are big and now I punch you in the face. Feel the wrath of not Selesnya. Yeah. But sorry, I will get way too into Selesnya, because the Selesnya are the best and I love them. Don't worry about anything says, like that whole mind control incident, perfectly fine. It's really blown out of proportion. You call us culty, you just go hug a tree, it'll feel better. Yeah, you're just jealous because of her nice like flowing clothing and cool triad leaf hair. Not that my hair is made out of leaves. Stop talking about the Vorthos stuff, Lily. But that said, yeah. Not like, obviously there's a bad situation where like, oh, your board's empty, you draw this, but the upside on this is just so high for any sort of Selesnya deck that, it's really good. Like, it's good at, like, when you're kind of like in an even board state. Like, the only situation where it's bad is when you have, like, very few cards. Like, if you, like, have just, like, there was, like, a board wipe or something, or, like, you've been too aggressively trading after creatures. That said, if you know this is in your deck, then you're not going to be as aggressively trading after creatures, because you're a good player, and you know what's in your deck, and you know the strategy that you're employing. But yeah, no. Very good card. Like, very good, like, token and go wide payoff. Next up is Centaur Peacemaker, which is 1 green and a white for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, each player gains 4 life. I mean, it's a 3/3 for 3, which I'm down for. But each player gaining 4 life, I mean, it's a symmetrical effect. But the thing is that Selesnya, you are kind of a bit more aggressive. Like, if you're playing against Boros, this is a great thing, because they want to kill you faster than you're killing them, and you both gaining 4 life is beneficial for that. But that said, Selesnya is kind of wanting to go a bit more like on the mid-rangey, leaning kind of more to beatdown plan, and each player gaining 4 life is not amazing. But that said, I mean, it's a 3/3 for 3 with a symmetrical effect that, you know what, I think that's just enough, that it's just an efficient creature. Yeah. And look, it's a nice centaur lady giving you flowers. I'd accept the flowers. I may be gay. Next up is the very, like, invested one for Selesnya, which is green, green, white, white for a 4/4 vigilance. 4/4 vigilance for 4, I'm in. 4/4 for 4s are great. And when it dies, make 2 green and 2/2 two 2/2 green and white elf knight creature tokens with vigilance. So it's 4 mana. Over the course of it, you get 8 power and toughness with vigilance for the creatures. This is just like very good. Yeah. There's not much to say. Like, obviously, you're not splashing with this if you're just in pure Selesnya plan, which, good for you. May the blessings of Matt Selesnya flow through your heart and your good decisions. But, yeah, no, it's just a real good creature. That said, also, like, it dying, like, we actually didn't see that many exile effects in the other colors and stuff, so it dying is going to be most of the time. It's not like Almond Cat, where there were lots of, like, exile effects and things like that, where it's, like, not having your creature die was a very real possibility and it getting removed otherwise, but, yeah. Next up is the Conclave Guild Mage, which is green and white for a 2/2, so standard rate. You can pay green and tap it to give your creatures trample till end of turn. This is mostly important for like your big convoke creatures, so other colors don't necessarily need that as much, but I mean, it's still useful, I guess, if you're splashing for this, and either Boros or Golgari. I can see Golgari making use of that one. But you can also pay 5 and a white to tap it to create a 2/2 elf knight creature token with vigilance. You know, that's nice. Like, and any sort of like board stall, like just being like, okay, don't cast anything, you pay 6 mana and make a 2/2. Like, making a 2/2 every turn, like, you're adding a lot of board pressure for like no card disadvantage. I know. And otherwise it's still a 2/2 for 2. And it's good at kind of all stages in the game. I'm into that. And honestly, I could see the Boros and the Golgari maybe wanting this too, if you want to splash into the best guild for that. Next up is my girlfriend, Amara Solvi Accord. Except, I'm kidding. She's not my girlfriend. She's way too good for me. She's amazing and beautiful and wonderful. And amazing and wonderful. I love her. But she's green and white for 2/2. So, it's a 2 for 2. But whenever she becomes tapped, create a 1/1 white creature soldier token with lifelink. So in a lot of ways, she is just kind of like she comes down kind of as like 3 power, because like she attacks once, she gets that in. Obviously, it's like works best when you're with, whatchamacallit, when you have like convoke spells, you can tap her without putting her into the red zone. That said, like, I think she's fine, but she's not amazing outside of like the early game. Like once you get past the early game, it'll just become way much harder to like attack into her and have her survive. And then at that point it'll become like she attacks, maybe trades for something and leaves a 1/1 behind, which is fine, but nothing. I think Amara is fine in the Selesnya deck if you have like things for Convoke and other reasons and ways to take advantage of those white soldiers. But the fact that she's best on turn 2 and not wonderful elsewhere in the later on in the game makes her pretty much kind of want to stay within the Selesnya. Next up is Join Shields, which is 3 white green for an instant. Untap all creatures you control. They gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Okay, so it's a pretty powerful effect, but it is very expensive. Like, it just rotated out, but what was it called? It's Johnny slashing the net. It's not like, is it like a Johnny's intervention or something? I don't think so. I don't think a Johnny's name on it. But it was a Johnny, but it was like 2 mana, like all your creatures get indestructible and hexproof, which at 2 mana was real good, and this one you're paying 2 and a white extra to just untap all your creatures. I just feel like this is too situational. Like, obviously the best situation is where like, okay, I flunge, I put everything to block everything, I can then blow everything out. But normally for these kind of like, those kind of effects, I'd prefer like an actual overrun, which gives all my creatures extra power and toughness and whatnot, and this doesn't do that. Yeah, so I'm not big on join shields. It just feels like way too much mana for the effect it's giving. Like you can also do the thing where it's like, oh, okay, so I can then ambush all their creatures on their turn and stuff like that, but I'm not big on this. It's way too expensive for the effect it gives. Next up is Knights of Autumn, or Knight of Autumn, which is 1 green and white for a 2/1, which, when it enters battlefield, choose 1. You may put 2 +1/+1 counters on her, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment, or you may gain 4 life. In limited, this will mostly be just choosing to put counters on it, at which point you're getting a 4/3 for 4, which is really good. It's just a real solid card, and occasionally it'll activate as like a Rex Sage when you need it. Yeah, no, Knight of Autumn. Real good. Like, these kind of, like, this is the second effect on, like, the kind of like the Selesnya decks, because there was also the Convoke one that makes a 2/2 Knight. Or you can just naturalize something, and that's just real good incidental naturalization. Yeah, no, Knight of Autumn. Real nice. Real nice. Also, she's a plant horse. Next up is the Dev Champion, which is a 3-mana 2/2, and whenever it attacks, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. The Dev Champion gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature tapped this way. So it's like almost kind of like pseudo exalted in a way. Also you may pay 3 white and a green to make a 1/1 human soldier token with lifelink. So that rate is worse than the Guild Mage. That said, you know, it's a 3-mana 2/2 that is good in the late game, can attack, and like kind of like be just a big threat when you need it to. He's also an elf riding a giant dog, which is pretty rad. Like, tell me that isn't just really good. Like, that is a good boy. That's a very good boy. Don't tell him otherwise. But, I think this is fine. It's nothing amazing. But I think it's just a good rate 3-drop that has good utility late game, and is fine when it comes down, but really shines, well, late game. Also cool interaction. For all of like the 2/2 Knights with Vigilance, you can have all of them attack, and then you can tap those Knights even though they're still in combat, so you can like take away their Vigilance to also stop this guy, so cool synergies there if you got lots of Vigilance creatures. Next is actually the subject of one of the cosplays I'm doing for GP Portland. I'm cosplaying this Dread Lady, but it's March of the Multitudes, which is X green, white, white for an instant with Convoke. Create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens of lifelink. This picture is rad. Just so many guys, huge army, huge elementals in the background, guys riding giant dogs. Dryad Lady in the foreground, and a cool outfit that I have partially constructed over there, and I love the Selesnya so much, but this is very good. Like, clearly very good. That said, I don't think you really want this out of the Selesnya deck. Like, obviously, without Convoke, you're getting a bad rate for this creature. Like, you're getting, at 4 mana, you're paying 4 mana for a 1/1. But the idea is, like, if you have a lot of creatures, and the fact that a lot of the Convoke things, like, oh, you tap down your creatures so you can't, like, have them back for defenses. This is an instant. This is something you can do, like, if you attack and you do a bunch of blocks and you want to be like, okay, before I lose all my creatures, like, tap all my stuff and, look, I have this army now. In that Selesnya deck where you are playing this co-wide deck, this is just real nice and real amazing. But you really do need to have kind of the Convoke enablers to make this good. Like, Golgari isn't going wide enough to want this, plus it's a double white splash. Boros also isn't going wide enough to really make use of this. That's like, unless you're using Convoke, you're getting just a bad rate. But yeah, no, March of the Multitudes is just gonna be so good. And and constructed, it's gonna be real nice, but it's just gonna be real solid, kind of like payoff for having Convoke. I think it's one of the best Convoke payoffs. Like, Convoke is like a nice, like, Pie Seductor, but like a lot of them being like, okay, I got to the late game, I don't actually really need the Convoke, I can just hard cast this. This one scales nicely. It's also an instance, because like most of the other Convoke stuff is sorcery speed, and I'm gonna tell you a secret. I really like the Selesnya, like, a lot. I don't know if you got that. Next up we got Rosemane Centaur, which is 3 green and a white, or a 4/4 with Convoke and Vigilance. So, I mean, 5 mana 4/4 Vigilance is a little bit below rate, but, I mean, even if you Convoke this out for 1, you're getting a 4/4 Vigilance for 4, which is real good, real nice, and if you, I mean, getting 2 creatures out by turn 3 is probably not feasible, but most of the time this will be coming out down to the 4/4 for 4, which is, I think, just perfectly fine. And one thing I didn't mention with Convoke things before is that, sure, like, turn 4 it's good, but it's also really good, like, if you're, like, playing this, like, turn, like, 5, and, like, okay, I cast a couple things on turn 5, and then I cast this for almost free on top of that, like, getting that extra thing, like, is also real nice with Convoke, and really you shouldn't overlook for these kind of things. And just Convoke lets you cheat out so much stuff and like just dump your hand real quickly. But yeah, no, Rosemane Centaur just seems like a good solid rate creature. Like, nothing fancy, but just solid. Next up is Sumala Woodshaper, which is 2 green and a white for a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or enchantment among them, and put in your hand, and put the rest at the bottom of your library. It's a 4 mana 2/1, which is very weak. That said, it does draw you a card. If you're unlimited and you don't see a creature in the top 4 cards of your library, congratulations, you just put the top 4 cards of your library that doesn't have a relevant play probably on the bottom of your library, so yay. But otherwise, it's a 4 mana 2/1 that drew you a card with a bit of selection, which I think is fine. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's like a premier 4-drop, but I think it's just a solid 4-drop if you need to fill your curve. Nothing fancy. And I mean, Selesnya also makes use of these small creatures anyway, like, even if it isn't really good in combat, it still can sit there and Convoke out things later. Next up is my favorite girls. It's Tristani. She's having a bit of trouble right now. Just give her some patience. She's gonna be doing alright. But this is Tristani Discordant, which is 3 green and a white for a 1/4, who gives all your other creatures +1/+1. When she enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 creatures with lifelink. So, and which come down as 2/2s, so for 5 mana you're getting a 1/4 and 2 2/2s, so you're getting 8 worth of stats. And at the beginning of your insta, each player gains control of all creatures they own. That last clause, not relevant really in this format, in this limited format. But honestly, Tristani is just a real good creature. Like, just good power and toughness it comes down with. An anthem effect for all your other tokens and small creatures that Selesnya is going to have anyway. I mean, she's nothing fancy. She's nothing too special. She's special. She's special to me. And all those who listen to Mod Selesnya. But she just does what she does, even though it's very straightforward, very efficiently. I love the new Tristani art for Tristani, Selesnya's voice from the guild packs. Oh, it's such good art. Oh my god, it's beautiful. I love them, and I love them. Alright, World Soul Colossus, which is X green and white for a 0/0 with Convoke, and it enters battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. This is one where it's like, yeah, it's a bit below rate, as long as, like, you're not convoking it, but as long as you're convoking it for at least 2, which is not hard, it scales well with the game, this can come down to be just absolutely monstrous, and yeah, no, the fact that you can pretty much always play it, you probably don't want to play it as a 3 mana 1/1, but it scales well, it's a good creature, and it's a payoff for, like, a lot of token generators and whatnot. just a solid big elemental friend. And next up we have Vernadi Shieldmate, which is 1 in Selesnya, so it can go in Boros or Golgari. It is a 2/2 of Vigilance. It's fine, I guess? There's not much else to say. If you need a 2-drop, if you need to fill out your 2-drop slot, he'll do a good job. I guess. Insert comment about how I love the Selesnya here. That's a cool mace, I guess? Oh, I don't know. Next up we got Assure and Assemble. Assure is Selesnya for put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That creature gains indestructible on your turn. So it's kind of like an instant speed combat trick that pumps it and gives it indestructible, but also the pump stays behind, which is, it's a fine combat trick. It's nothing amazing, but I wouldn't play it for that. But it's fine. Assemble is a 4 green and a white for to create 3/2 white elf knight creature tokens with vigilance. So it makes 6/6 power with toughness across 3 creatures. Seems fine. It seems very what the Selesnya want to do, and sometimes you'll need Assure, but most of the time you're probably going to play this as like just a solid 6-drop that lays out like a nice line of some creatures. But yeah. This seems fine. That said, you probably don't want this outside of a Selesnya deck. You just don't really want it unless you're like able to cast Assemble. Next up is Flower and Flourish. Flower is Selesnya for search your library for a basic forest or plains card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. Honestly, Flower itself, I think, is like fine in all the decks that want it. Like, it replaces itself, it fixes your mana. Like, if you're splashing for other things, like in Boros or Golgari that require white, like Flower's nice because it's like, it will grab you the one that you don't have. So like real nice. And in just mono Selesnya, like if you have like the double, like the Centaur with its green, white, white, like it helps like kind of fix that mana and get you there. But then Flourish is 4 green and a white for creatures you control get +2/+2 till end of turn. That one I'm less excited about splashing for. Like, you can do it. That said, like, it's not a bad finisher if you draw this late game. That like both these, like, I find that most of the time you're probably gonna, like, if you have this in your opener, this will be a good turn 1 play. You cycle basic land cycle this for a new card. And if you draw it late game, it's a good kind of like finisher. The fact that Flourish's sorcery speed is unfortunate, but what do you do? But yeah, like if you need a little bit of extra fixing if you're splashing for green or white in either of the colors that have access to the other one, I think it's quite fine. Flourish, if you're in Selesnya, it's fine in Selesnya, but it's nothing amazing. Alright. Next up we have all of the guild gates. There's 2 for each of the 5 guilds in the set. And they're just amazing. The art in the set is just so phenomenal and amazing. And if you haven't already, just like look at some like the galleries of art that people have put together, just like the full art and then only the artist page and whatnot. It's just so gorgeous. Like, I'm a sucker for any sort of like architectural landscapes and whatnot, and it's so good. That said, mechanically the guild gates are very important. Like, there are straight up cards that care mechanically about having guild gates, and if you have those, obviously you want to prioritize them. Like I said, like splashing, they kind of made this set so 5 people in a pod could each be in a guild and 3 people kind of being tricolor. Then the guild gates become more important for there. And then of course, guild gates in your color are really good for helping fix your mana because you have a lot of gold cards and you want to make sure that you consistently have both your colors and things like that. So I think these are honestly defendable. Like dual lands are one of those things where it's like in these multicolor formats, it is often the right thing to first pick a guild gate. And they're one of those like most unexciting choices, but like one of the most like disciplined things you can do, like when you're becoming good at limited, is taking the boring tap lands. And it may not seem exciting, it may not seem like the thing that wins the game, but just having better mana, even if it's just like a dumb tap land, improves your consistency of your deck so much. And I think it's one of those things that Ravnica does a good job of like really highlighting how important it is to get your lands and things like that, because like there's cards that straight up say like, oh, this one wants me to have gates, but even then, like, yeah, and it's also important because it's like, oh, we have lots of like gold mana costs and things like that, where we want to make sure we have great mana because it's a very colored mana intensive format. And it's very obvious in Ravnica that it is important, but it's one skill that you really should take and carry over even to other formats that have like uncommon and common tap lands. Like, I don't know how often in 19 drafts I would be seeing like tap lands coming around to be like in the last 5 cards, even to like my last card being a tap land, and I'm just like, I just don't feel like people value these things enough, that the consistencies that they give you is just, it's not very perceivable how much they help you, because it's not like the big flashy bomb that won you the game, or like that sick removal you ripped off the top. It's the consistency of like, I have my colors, I curved out perfectly, I thought about the creatures I was playing, not the lands that gave me the accessibility to play that, and you just tend to undervalue the lands in your deck. And this has been my spiel on, you should be taking the guild gates more aggressively than you are, and you should be taking tap lands more aggressively than you do in general for Magic. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. We got Boros Guild Gate, very nice. The flavor text model, like, you'll notice that like a lot of like each guild has like 2 legends, or like a legend, a planeswalker, which I guess are not legends. They kind of like the actual official guild leader, and kind of like who's pulling the strings, because that's like the major theme in the story right now. But each of the guild gates kind of like shows each of those sides of like these intra-guild tensions and whatnot. We got Boros Guild Gate, Mirror Guild Gate, Gateway Plaza. This is kind of like a Rupture Spire. That is also a gate, so, and it's also tapped. You have to pay a mana to like have it stay on the battlefield, so it's kind of like a spell where you're having to pay mana to like, you can kind of think about it like you play this land and then you're also playing like a green enchantment that like one of those ones that like lets you tap for any color of mana. And I don't think they're bad, like especially if you're like planning on going 3 color. Like I don't like these as much in formats where like things like M19, where it isn't a very color intensive format. Like M19 had Rupture Spire, and I just went my thing where I don't think people took the tap lands highly enough, but Rupture Spire was slow enough. Like, this is now taking up your 2-drop slot, unlike in the tap lands, like often you just like play Guild Gate past turn, or when you have like a spare slot open. Like, this is taking, you're just tapping on another one of your lands and itself is coming in tap, so it's a bit more of investment. But it being able to tap for any color is nice, especially if you're playing one of the more color-intensive decks. Golgari Guild Gates, Guild Mage's Forum, which is a rare land, but you can tap it to add colorless. You may 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. If that mana is spent on a multicolored creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a filter land, but it does have the benefit of, like, you saw there's a lot of multicolored cards in the set. Who would have thought that there's multicolored cards in a Ravnica set? But normally filter lands are just okay. You don't really want to be running your Unknown Shores and Painted Bluffs and stuff like that. Your Shimmering Grottos. But this is one where it's like, your +1/+1 counter, like, because normally those are like setting your curve back. Like, okay, you played your 3/3 for 3 on turn 4 rather than on turn 3, which is not good. But the fact that a lot of this time this will fix your mana when you need to, and when you do need to like fix this, it kind of like allows you to bump up the curve on it. So your 3/3 for is no longer not a 3-3 for 4, it is a 4-4 for 4, which really kind of like helps keep up with the tempo loss that you get for running these normally. So I'm pretty high on this, and in a pinch you will just slow down your tempo, like, because you'll just cast a card that like you don't get the benefit off of, but you know, I think this one, like, the advantage is, like, the disadvantage isn't as pronounced, that I rather like Guild Mages for them. We got the Is It Guild Gates, and then we have the Shocklands. These are, in many ways, just better versions of the Guild Gates. You'll also pick them up because they're worth money, because they're staples in a variety of formats. But they also serve the same purpose as in the draft as the Gold Gates. Obviously they don't count as gates for Gates Matter cards, but they'll enter the battlefield tapped unless you pay 2 life. They're also fetchable, but that's not relevant in this format. Yeah, no, it's just real good. But these are also easier to take highly. It's like, you should be taking these highly, even if they weren't worth money, but the fact that they're worth money will help you take them more highly. We got Sacred Foundry, Selesnya Guild Gate. These two are the best Guild Gates because they're Selesnya Guild Gates. Fun fact. We got Steam Vents, Temple Garden. This is also the best Shockland because it is Selesnya. Watery Grave, and we got the basic land cards, although I believe the Guild Gates take the place of the basic lands, so I don't know actually how often you get these basic lands. But they're nice, aren't they? Ooh, basic lands. Like I said, I just love, like, urban landscapes and whatnot, and all the basic lands in the Guild Kits are just like, oh, those are so beautiful. I love them. But yeah. Now that's been my, well, this has been my set review for, Guilds of Ravnica. I am just super pumped for this set. This could be a lot of fun. And yeah, no, I hope you all do a good job at pre-release or early drafts you do. And I mean, the arena open betas now, so you can play it on there. Yeah, no, if you see me there as Lily Haran and piloting a really ill-advised Selesnya deck, yeah, that's me. I'll be forcing Selesnya for a while. You might have noticed that I like Selesnya, but yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed the series, and I'm gonna go to sleep because I've been doing this for way too long. Set review weeks is rough. It's like it's like 5.5 hours of content in a week, which is like normally I'm doing like 1.5 hour of content a week, and it's rough. But yeah, well, I will talk to you all later. And I hope you have a wonderful night, and may your story smile upon you.